Sikkim365.com. And in the segments, some of the Baylor-related segments are also not in just the premium section, but also available in the other sections as well. Craig Smoke and Paul Catalina, David Smoke with Dylan Chapman. We appreciate Dylan being a part of the show, helping get up the
Shot clock at 9. Williams on Doncic. He gets by him. Doncic springs free and scores it in the lane.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Doncic inside. Boban. A couple of shifty moves.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
He will now inch closer to Nicholas and join Hogan. He has taken the torch and he's running with it. Major championship number 5. His third of the year, the first since Hogan in 1953. To win 3 professional majors in 1 year.
Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. Sikkim 365 Radio, Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke. Dylan Chapman is here today to help run the mothership as well. At 5 o'clock today, longtime and Hall of Famer Gene Stallings, many years as an assistant coach with Tom Landry, and during those times he was the defensive backs coach when Drew Pearson, of course, was his entire career with the Cowboys. He'll join us today at 5. Former A&M, obviously played there, Alabama head coach, A&M head coach, and much more. Also today we'll check in with Max Olson on college football, Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys, and a couple of high school coaches, Cliff Watkins, Glenn Rose, Kyle Hardy from Centerville. As scrimmages start tonight in high school football, that's the next step, right? Getting back to working out, getting into the workouts in August, having scrimmages, and we'll see what happens next. How about this story about the extra year with players, the NCAA? We kind of digested this a little bit. I spoke to a couple of parents of players who were thrilled with this opportunity. And how they manage the scholarships and how that works, I don't know. But, man, I can tell you right now, if you're thinking about someone like Charlie Brewer, another year for him, with all due respect to whatever level he thinks he can play next, he gets another year under Larry Fedora. Got to finish this first year, but how important would that be? But then does that then create a logjam again in the transfer portal?
I think it creates a logjam ultimately. I mean, if you're Jacob Zeno or if you're Kyron Drones, I mean, if you're Kyron Drones coming in next year, you might be happy about the fact that, hey, here's this senior quarterback who's got a lot of experience who I'll get to be around for a year. And then he'll be gone, and it won't really waste much of your eligibility. But if you're a Jacob Zeno or a Gary Bohannon and you're kind of waiting on Charlie to graduate so you have more of an opportunity, not to mention, oh, now here's Blake Shapen, and oh, here's Drones, and here's, I mean, something's got to give. And, you know, that's just one position we're looking at. But, yeah, I mean, in theory, with this, it's all fall sports. I mean, Sam Ehlinger, Brock Purdy, Charlie Brewer, all these guys could come back, and yeah, it's no doubt going to create a logjam. I think Max had the simplest solution as far as how to make the scholarship situation very simple. You just simply don't count senior scholarships, and you still count 85 for everybody else. So that seems like it can be simply taken care of, but the playing time thing and the depth chart thing, that is going to be a bit complicated.
Yeah, I would think when you come down to how many are going to stick around, your guys who are going to be, you know, NFL players for sure, and especially in the first 4 or 5 rounds, I think those guys are going to leave because you're going to go get your paycheck now. So go do that.
This doesn't affect Justin Fields.
No. It doesn't affect Justin Fields unless he just loves being a college football player that much. But I don't think we're going to see that. But it does. Guys like Charlie Brewer, who, he played in his freshman year, but it was a little disjointed. And this year, his senior year, very potentially could be disjointed for no other reason than they may not get to play a bunch of games. So for guys like that, it'll be good. The other guys I think that it'll be good for are offensive and defensive linemen who are really good college players, but are, questionable NFL prospects. Like they'll get a shot, but they would probably be free agents. If you want to stay and maybe get some more stuff on tape, especially maybe you are a senior who only has, 13 games of film. You just now got to start. Well, now you can get, 20, 26 games of film and raise your draft stock even higher.
I think the parents that I spoke with, I was just curious. They were like, man, one of them didn't quite understand. It was not just that red shirt rule if you play 5 games or less. It was like this new that's going to be voted on tomorrow most likely will pass most of the time.
You can play all 12 games, and you still will not have.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I'm just clarifying that, like, for anybody that still doesn't get it, there is no, hey, you play in 4 games and then you sit and you still count as a red shirt, or you play. No, you can play the entire season, every single snap, this upcoming year, whether it's 1 game or 12, and let's just say 12 full games are played this fall, God willing, and you could come back the next year like the previous season didn't even happen, basically, as far as your eligibility goes. So this applies to all football players, and it's going to be really, really interesting because I think it is going to cause some guys to maybe look at the depth chart and go, you know what, I can't wait another year on top of the time I've already waited. So we'll see, but it's going to make a lot of interesting storylines for sure.
So yesterday, a couple of days ago, Craig threw this out there, and we put it up on Twitter. I did, and I got an amazing amount of response. And yet again, there's some that break the rules about top 5, 1 through 5 greatest players ever in Big 12 history. We're going to go over some of those. We'll have ours, Craig, Paul, mine. Also, you could still hit us up on Twitter with your top 5, 1 through 5, Big 12 years. So that starts in 1996 is the first year of the Big 12. And if somebody played 3 years in the Southwest Conference or Big 8 and 1 year in the Big 12, they count, which is what happened with some of the players that could be a part of this discussion. We'll get into that very soon. 4 Baylor players, Treston Ebner, John Lovett, 2 running backs, along with Charlie Brewer, and William Bradley King, the transfer defensive end linebacker from Arkansas State, are a part of the Reese's Senior Bowl 250 list. Of course, that will be changed and revised, kind of like a watch list for the Senior Bowl that's played in January in Mobile, Alabama.
We got a little conversation going on the podcast today. We recorded Trust the Podcast, Grayson and I, and we had a question about, prospects next year and who could maybe have a big year and that type of thing. And I don't think you're really looking at a loaded senior class for Baylor NFL-wise, but I do think Treston Ebner is very intriguing. I think Treston Ebner is somebody who, if he got another year, would be like that would be incredible news for Baylor. John Lovett, I think, is very intriguing. It's just with the running back position, you just never really know because even really good backs don't necessarily get that opportunity at the next level. Charlie, I'm very low on his NFL prospects just because I am. I mean, size, injuries, things like that. But, him getting at least a mention is good for him because he does get overlooked quite a bit. I think the interesting NFL prospects are maybe going to come from that junior class. Your Terrell Bernards, your Tyquan Thorntons, those players is where I think we'll see the next big Baylor draft picks.
You know what I think of when I think of Charlie Brewer is I think of Kellen Moore. A guy who wins, a guy who certainly has the athletic ability to be at least an NFL backup quarterback. But does he have the...
God, when you first said that, I thought about you were saying Kellen Mond, and I was like,
Kellen
way.
Moore.
Okay.
No, they're all
Kellen
different.
Moore. Right. Kellen Moore, but he's slight of build, and the guys don't get smaller as you go up. They don't get slower. They get bigger and stronger and faster. So those are the things. That was the thing that worried me about Charlie Brewer. That's it. I mean, he certainly has the leadership, mental capacity. I think, he doesn't have, he doesn't have Trevor Lawrence arm strength, but he's got a really good arm. He's got a good enough arm to play in the NFL, but does he have I mean, it's not all about that. There's so many other things.
Let's let him finish this year, but that's good to talk about it down the road. There was one player, Georgia State quarterback Mikael Colacerdo, who diagnosed with that heart condition after a COVID infection. He'll miss the year. That's one of the stories in college football. And one of the other stories about this extra year is in an age where every single athletic program is cutting back something. Not only that, but staff. Some are taking pay cuts. Some are losing sports. Some are absolutely, all of them are losing money. And then you add that how many guys would be ineligible for years, their clock ticking at the end of the year, 25, 30, 17, whatever, and now they remain on scholarship? That doesn't mean they remain on scholarship for the same amount. That could be interesting.
Well, it's them, it's volleyball, it's all those fall sports. So there's like 6 sports that you said, I know that it's not the exact same across the board as far as the scholarships and things like that, but of the sports that'll be getting this year back, they are the only revenue sport that will be getting a year back. So they already kind of foot the bill as is, which is fine. That's just the way the system is set up. But at the same time, that's another 20 to 25 scholarships that you're paying for in just football, and then another, 10 in each other sport. So you're looking at 50 to 100, 50 to 75 scholarships extra that you normally wouldn't be paying for. So, that's another extra cost that maybe people aren't thinking about when money's not really going around all that much right now.
We had Mac Rhodes on Tuesday. We asked him about tailgating. The city of Waco, of course, has some of their rules. It depends on, are you on campus, so to speak, Baylor property, or are you at the Brazos parking, which is across the street where they have unbelievable tailgating as well, and some 18-wheelers or big RVs that come in and park. And that's still to be determined. Florida State has released guidelines today. They will allow tailgating at their 2020 home games. And to me, tailgating can either be a dud or it could absolutely end up being monstrous. If you're a part of it, we'll see how that goes. A couple of quick notes. Tyron Smith left practice today for the Cowboys with a hammy. He left early. Nothing appears to be serious, but right now they're out without Lyle Collins. Cam Irvin and Brandon Knight have dealt with some injuries as well during camp, so that's annoying more than anything else.
I saw this, and I don't know about you guys. Feel free to agree or disagree. I feel like Tyron Smith is legitimately just an old veteran who's getting nagging injuries, but I also feel like he's at the stage of his career where it's like, oh, this is training camp. Oh, yeah, my knee, my elbow, something hurts. I don't want to go through all of this.
I think we were talking about this before you walked up here. Smokey said, what's wrong with Tyron Smith? He's got a case of the today it's not worth it.
Yeah, that's totally what this is.
I'm sore. What are we doing today? Not worth it.
This has been his story for 4 years now of just training camp starts. Oh, yeah, Tyron Smith's got something nagging that's bothering him.
All right, so a couple of other notes. Again, our first guest today, 3:45, is Glen Rose head coach Cliff Watkins. We have 2 high school coaches, Centerville's Kyle Hardy today at 3:45. If you're listening, the various ways you can hear us on the Sikkim 365 app, brought to you by Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. You also can hear us online, Sikkim365.com, which is also on Periscope, which is also on Facebook, which is also on YouTube. And just stay tuned for other ways as we move forward, headed into what we hope is going to be football season. Couple of quick notes. Stars play tonight against Calgary as that series continues. Right now that series is, 2-2?
No.
3-2 Dallas. They play game 6 tonight.
They can win it tonight.
Stars can move on if they win tonight. Also, the Mavericks just hammered the Clippers, jumped all over them like L.A. did the other day, and then held on to them and just basically toyed with them. Got a little dicey at the end, but they were unbelievable. And who's this Boban guy? What's this guy?
You mean one of the stars of John Wick 3?
Yeah.
Unbelievable night. 13 points, 9 rebounds. Not so much that, but they couldn't stop him. They had nothing for him.
Well, Boban's been a feel-good story for at least a couple years now with the Mavericks. I mean, he's just a big, goofy, fun guy who's got a little bit of skill as well. Don't let the funniness fool you. I mean, he's not Shaq in his prime by any means, but he's a presence down low that can make some plays for you. He's also a big part of that team chemistry. I mean, he and Luka have a tremendous relationship. J.J. Barea and the rest of that team just all seem to get along really well, and Boban's a big part of the comedic relief and also the physicality that they have. But, yeah, he's in John Wick 3. He's in the very beginning in the library.
He got killed with a book.
Oh, my God.
Spoiler spoilers, but yeah, he's in the beginning, and so he's had a little fame come from his NBA career. But no, he's awesome, and Luka was fantastic.
All right, the chat room brought to you by Willis Law Firm on Sikkim365.com in the premium section. Also today, Rangers. They've now allowed 3 consecutive games with a grand slam since the Tatis home run, the grand slam. A walk-off grand slam last night.
Do you know why? Because they complain and it's in their head. That's what I think.
It's a grand slam. I mean, first of all, you have to set the table to have them.
Yeah.
That's 5 they've given up this year. 5 in 3 consecutive games. Alex Bregman's out for a while, 10-day injured list, right hamstring. You think that's part of that? I mean, Altuve's struggling. Bregman goes out. Cal Ripken Jr. says he's cancer-free after surgery in March. He had prostate cancer. He turned 60 years old next week.
But by the way, just a quick Cal Ripken story from my youth. When the year he went, he broke the streak, the spring training, the lines to get his autograph were just out the door.
I bet you can't find one.
I can tell you right now that there's not a player outside of maybe Nolan Ryan who is classier with the fans than Cal Ripken Jr.
And would that surprise you? Not at
No,
all.
he was great.
So what do the Reds do? Tom Brenneman, who's a Hall of Fame announcer, part of Fox Sports, last night during what he thought was a dead mic period, hey, we've all had things that we probably said on the microphone. I've accidentally thrown a couple of, mine were words that shouldn't be used.
No, but
not phrases.
Make sure you're very clear that you said like a cuss word.
But
you shouldn't say.
that's what
I
said.
Better off had he said a cuss word.
I said one
Right.
time when I was live during a junior college basketball game when Tyler beat Kilgore at the buzzer and a guy throws a Diet Coke on my head because I was right there in the middle of basically the section, and I popped off. My dad happened to be listening, and I had to explain that to him when I got home. But so I've thrown that out there. I have. But he mentioned something about wherever he was referring to, whatever city, the gay capital of the world. Those were his words, and he then apologized. You could tell he was a dead man walking, took microphone, headsets off, laid them down, and walked out of the booth.
Yeah.
Is he done?
Yeah, I think he's done.
Yeah, well, it was in Cincinnati as the city that he was talking about, and he made a slur, a homosexual slur. And, no, I think he's done. I mean, it's hard to kind of walk your way out of that when it wasn't like you were just talking and, the wrong phrase, the wrong words, the wrong pronunciation slipped out of your mouth. This was intentional use of the word. This wasn't like you're trying to say, something that rhymes with it instead, and the wrong word came out, which even that's kind of hard to explain. This was pretty intentional, and so he's in trouble because the gay community is obviously very upset. The Reds have had to issue a statement. He's been suspended, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was probably the end of the road for him, and I think he kind of probably assumed that himself as well.
A lot of players have supported not Brenneman, but the LGBTQ community along the way. It does appear as if his career might be over because of that, but we'll see how that
did y'all
comes.
see what happened afterwards? Like, he apologized live on the air.
Yeah.
and
During a home run.
Yeah, and then passed it off to his
that's what I'm saying.
He
made, you could see where he was like sick to his stomach knowing that he was saying his last word. In fact, he said, I may not do this ever again.
And he's the son of
a home run in the middle of it. He called that like it was like a funeral.
Yeah, he's the son of a Hall of Famer and Marty Brenneman. And
so
he basically gave his last words. I mean, he apologized to everybody, including the network, and I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall. It's hard to walk your way out of.
I agree. Also, this from Pete Thamel, Conference USA leaning towards mandatory 3 times a week COVID testing during competition weeks. It may take a few days to formalize it. Also, would then be, along with the Big 12, the strictest of the COVID-19 testing standards.
Yeah, I saw that comment, but I've also seen a couple of people, and they're not necessarily somebody who would be in the know. I don't know. It's hard to kind of gauge everything you read on Twitter, but apparently the SEC has been doing some of this as well. But regardless, Mack Rhodes did tell us the other day that Baylor will be testing players 3 times a week during the season. It will be Sunday following a game, 72 hours before a game, and then 24 hours before a game. So that's their plan and how they'll go along with it. So, yeah, the 3 times a week. And, I had a couple comments on Twitter of like, well, preferential treatment or why that's overkill or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm reporting what they're doing, okay? Like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever. I do want them to do everything they can to play football. Selfishly, yes, while being smart about it. But I'm just telling you what they're doing. So the more tests, the better, in my opinion.
All right, the Riverbend Liquor and Wine. I'll get back to you, Paul. Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line 254-339-1122. Also, we have about 20, 30 minutes here. We'll open the lines up, Paul, if that's okay. Top 5 greatest players, football players in Big 12 history. If you get on with us on the phone line, 254-339-1122, and we got to set that up here at our location. I'll give you the option of whether you want a free round of golf at Cottonwood Creek, a free meal at Chick-fil-A across from Baylor on 35, or possibility if you want a hamburger from Fuddruckers, the world's greatest hamburgers. So any of those 3 options, but you got to be a part of the show by call today, 254-339-1122. It takes how long, Paul, for it to be set up?
I'm going to need this break to do it.
Okay, they're in the commercial break, but we need to get your calls. I'll also tell you on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine hotline, the text line, 254-339-1122, 254-339-1122. We'll come back with ours. We want yours, and a lot of you that tweeted back at me last night and through the evening and into the morning about your top 5, 1 through 5, greatest football players in Big 12 history. You guys ready with your list when we come back? This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco, where you can start your day, or even if it's at the end of the day, and make yourself better, more fit, healthier, whether it's strength, whether it's cardio, or whether it's both. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. Earlier today, I was a part of a spin class that Alex taught. Came out of there, my shirt is soaking wet. Any of the group exercise classes, you go in and you come out and you're probably tired and you're soaking wet with sweat, but you feel better. And you have great instructors. Every single day there's a group exercise class. Every single day there are group exercise classes. There are 3 personal trainers, Christy London, Randall Corley as well. And they can help you get to where you want to be and help you start maybe what you don't know how to start, to be committed, to becoming fit, to becoming better, healthier, leaner, and all of the above, stronger as well. Stephanie Boone, personal trainer as well. Those 3 can help you to make sure that you don't start and then give up. Like I thought I would do when I said, okay, I'll do endorsements back in March of 2013. I'll do this again. I've done it over the years. And 6 weeks later, I'm sleeping in again.
And call screener
Christy
line.
wouldn't let that happen.
Please enter your
she
show
won't
number
let
and
that
press
happen
pound.
unless you just quit on yourself. The trainers, it's very,
Enter
very
your
inexpensive, a
6-digit
lot
PIN
less than
number.
you may think, and it's worth it because it's your health. What else is more important than that when it comes to your
Welcome,
body?
host.
Waco
You have not
Regional
started
Tennis
a
and Fitness, personal
Welcome,
trainers, group
host.
exercise
You are
classes,
now in the host room and
spacious
can manage your
facilities, an
callers from the
incredible
call-in
tennis
studio web
program,
interface.
youth tennis with Britt
Show
Coleman,
recording
the
is
adult
on.
tennis lessons and tournaments with Joe Rosa. And the locker rooms are clean, spacious, and absolutely fantastic and disinfected all the time. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
The big summer clearance event is still underway at Allen Samuels in Waco. Now update your essential transportation needs with 0% financing and no payments for 90 days on almost everything in stock. Brand new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cabs, ready to roll with 0 for 72 and no payments for 90 days. And Ram Tradesman Express Quad Cabs feature up to $8,500 in values. We'll save you thousands at your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131, 254-598-8131.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, 254-339-1122. Who are the top 5? And if you want to give us just 3, but we want 5 greatest football players in Big 12 history. This means they had to play at least 1 year, could have been at the end of their career, no matter if they were in the Big 8 or the Southwest Conference prior. Top 5 greatest college football players in Big 12 history. A lot of you did respond to me on Twitter. We'll read some of those in a minute. And also on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine hotline. Same number, 254-339-1122. Paul, we start with you.
All right. Vince Young, Ndamukong Suh, Adrian Peterson, Ricky Williams, and Eric Crouch.
Pretty similar. I went Vince Young at 1, Ndamukong Suh at 2, Ricky Williams at 3. I had to put somebody from Oklahoma on there. They've had so many great players, but I went with Adrian Peterson at 4, and Michael Crabtree I put at number 5.
Say yours again, Craig. Young,
Suh, Ricky, AD, and Crabtree.
Okay. Mine are Vince Young, Ndamukong Suh, Adrian Peterson, Ricky Williams, and Roy Williams.
Oh, OU Roy.
OU Roy. There you go, yeah. I'm assuming OU Roy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Texas Roy was okay.
And,
he was not OU
many
Roy good.
people did throw out, and oh, by the way, there's 7 or 8 others. There's 25 or 30 others, but top 5.
Well, I think of names like Michael Bishop at K-State.
Yep.
I mean, he was fantastic.
them on his back. Yep.
He was amazing.
Sam Bradford, Oklahoma.
Sam Bradford was really stinking good at
Colt
OU.
McCoy was fantastic.
Colt McCoy was really good. Jason White was fantastic at OU. Josh Heupel was, he won a national title, the last national title OU won. Granted, he wasn't there
we don't
long.
Speak
but
his name.
You know who was there for a couple of years, but you forget about him because it was Amon Green.
Green in Nebraska. Kyler Murray was really good.
There you go. Absolutely.
So there's so many guys
Baker Mayfield.
Offensively.
Yeah.
But even defensively, I think you look at some of the guys who have come out of Texas or Oklahoma and some others as well. TCU's produced some guys, obviously. So, there's a lot of directions that you can go with it. It's obviously going to be more of an offensive-heavy list because that's just the nature of the conference. But even then, there's an argument to be made. I had to put Crabtree in there just because he was a part of one of the biggest moments in the conference's history with that UT upset. Also, he was pretty much unguardable. It didn't matter who they played. And he was, to me, in a conference that's had a lot of great wide receivers. I think he'd have to be number one amongst all the wide receivers in the Big 12.
So I have two defensive players, and there's a clump of linebackers from Derek Johnson, Waco High, Dat Wynn, of course, Rocky Kalmus. There's a lot of them out there. And there's some big boy names out there. Michael Huff, the defensive back at Texas, who
Earl
was
Thomas,
huge. Earl Thomas.
Nathan Vasher.
So there's
Harris.
a lot of those names. Yeah, Tommy Harris.
Quinn Jammer.
The four best. I saw this. I just happened to see this. Big 12 held a vote back in 2010 and voted for the best players during what was then 15 years. And the top four running backs then, Ricky Williams, Adrian Peterson, Darren Sproles, and Amon Green.
Who's Sproles? Yeah.
Because Sproles was fantastic. That's the team that Kansas State beat OU up in a Big 12 championship game.
Yeah. By the way, give us a call, 254-339-1122. I'm waiting for that first call to pop up
we're
on
trying
the
to
screen
get. Okay, let me read
today.
some of the others. And again, the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line is also open. T-Rex he brought this up before we asked the question. West Virginia today announced no fans at their home opener. They said they hope to have fans by the time they play Baylor. Let's get this COVID mess under control so we can invade Morgantown and finally win and shut off country roads in the first quarter.
Yeah, not a lot of places are going to be as daunting without any fans there. So Morgantown is certainly one of those. I hope they do have fans, though, by the time Baylor comes up on their schedule because that means we'll have made some progress. So, selfishly, you might want to hope no fans there on all these road trips. But, no, it'd be good to have them back. That'll certainly be quite weird, though, for these teams that first time they run out on the field, and especially the places where there'll be zero fans whatsoever. That's going to be pretty bizarre.
All right, here's from various people, Coach Irvin, Sue, Young, Ricky Williams, Eric Crouch, Robert Griffin III, and he said that's his five.
Yeah, I think Sue and Young are kind of the automatics.
Adam Hochfelder, who's a part of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, Vince Young, Baker Mayfield, Adrian Peterson, RG3, and Cedric Benson, the late Cedric Benson. Here's from TJ, Vince, Adrian Peterson, Ricky Williams, Roy Williams, and Earl Thomas. From, Angel, Vince Young, Ricky Williams, Adrian Peterson, and Dominican Sue, and Tommy Harris. Please bear with me. That's the name of the tweet. Vince Young, RG3, and Dominican Sue, Adrian Peterson, UT's Ricky Williams. So we have pretty much there's 3-4 names that are in almost every single one of them. Here's from Alex, Ricky Williams, Vince Young, RG3, and any of two Oklahoma quarterbacks.
None of us mentioned, and that's playing the OU quarterbacks, none of us have mentioned RG3, and I thought about him, but I just ultimately couldn't put him over any of the five guys I put.
He had one, and it was an amazing year. He won the Heisman, and he was spectacular. But, his year before that, he was good. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he had the freshman year where he kind of let everyone out know who he was, and then he got hurt. But some of these guys were good. And, Vince Young really flourished late when they finally just let him be Vince Young.
Yeah.
Just be who you are. Here's another one from Gold Reaper. There have been 7 Heisman Trophy winners since the Big 12 formed. So I'll take these. Ricky Williams, Robert Griffin III, Eric Crouch, Sam Bradford, and Baker Mayfield. Which, if you do this to the Heisman Trophy winners, unfortunately for Vince Young, because Reggie Bush won it that year, it knocks him out.
And Adrian Peterson got beat out by Leinart.
Yep. So there's some of those who gave us feedback on it.
There was a Big 12 player that got beat up by Tebow, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Sue got beat up by Sam Bradford, so, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
No, I think Sue might have been Mark Ingram.
Okay, yeah.
Because Colt McCoy was 2009,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's right.
And McCoy was a senior that year.
Mm-hmm.
So who were you saying from the Big 12 got bumped?
By Tim Tebow?
Tebow.
Yeah,
I'll
Tebow.
look that up. But you're right. I think you're right on the Sue and Mark Ingram thing. I'll look that up too, though.
Yeah, that's Chad President by Craig. You'll like this. Paul, you'll like this. Dylan, maybe. So he responded. I just happened to see this. He's now a coach, of course. What's your favorite movie quote? Chad President from Temple High, Tulsa. I'm your Huckleberry.
I thought that was going to be it. That's why you'd notice it.
I'm your Huckleberry. And then I just put a GIF up that said, say when he's about to shoot Ringo right in the head.
You know, I have this Tombstone poster up in here of all the movie posters I have, and I strategically placed this one here in your eye line just in case you ever got stressed.
No, I know. And it's Saving Private Ryan for a lot of the reasons forever and ever. And it's still right there in 1A, 1B. But Tombstone is on a lot. I can't stop. If it starts, I have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
Say when. He's blowing out part of his cigarette.
I always say you're no Daisy.
Yeah. So that's what's your favorite. You can put that up there if you want today. 254-339-1122 as well as we roll through all the various segments we have today and interviews. Gene Solid is one of the highlights today. He'll join us today at 5 o'clock. Now, we have yet more news on yet another new sponsor to what we're doing. Thanks to Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. I mean, when you think about the companies we have on this show and then you add Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, Carl Ellis, Mike Garrick, and all the great McLennan County agents, they now are like the football title sponsor. Ideal MRI is our title sponsor, but the football season, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has joined also this family.
They're fantastic. They're always fantastic. Carl Ellis, Bubba Galvin, everybody over there. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. Thanks to everybody over there. Glad to have them a part of the ride. Glad to just keep adding folks and know it's something you've been hard at work at, so it's great to have them on board. Absolutely fantastic to have a big-time business and a big-time company and a big-time sponsor like that.
So, go ahead.
By the way, Dylan, Chase Daniel was the one from the Big 12 that Tim Tebow beat out.
He beat out Darren McFadden, really. Yeah, McFadden was his big competition. I finally found that. Colt Brennan actually finished third that year from Hawaii. But, yeah, Chase Daniel, and then if you go a little further, Pat White at West Virginia was another one. But
they weren't in the Big 12 at that time.
They weren't in that year?
No.
Okay, well, then forget that. But
Pat
Chase
White?
Daniel was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if Missouri was in, then
that's
West
right.
Virginia
Yeah,
would have been.
yeah.
So.
That's right.
Missouri had some good players over the years. Chase Daniel was definitely at the top of that list.
Brad Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Missouri's they had a little stretch there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like where they are now. They're just there.
They went from the Big 12 where they're doing the same thing where every once in a while, depending on the side of the conference you're in, you can wind up in the title game. They won the luck of the draw, and they wound up in the SEC East, even though they're west of most of the teams that are in the West. But they're in the SEC East, and, they've been in the SEC title game once, right?
The very first year.
Yeah, very first year. So there you go. Good
Wow.
for them.
Which was now years ago, and we haven't heard from them since. So, they're making more money now, but I don't know if they're in nearly as much of a powerful position as they once were. I mean, they are because of conference affiliation, but they aren't as far as competition level.
By the way, Tom Brenneman is no longer a part of Fox Sports. He will not do the NFL games this year because of his anti-gay slur during the Reds telecast.
That was their number 3 broadcast crew, I believe, Tom Brenneman, I think. So that means some people are going to have to move up, and they're going to reshuffle here a few weeks before the season. So That's not easy to react to if you're Fox Sports.
Well, I mean, what he said, there's really no way to kind of excuse. I mean, this isn't, again, one of those where it's a slip of the tongue or anything like that. What he said was without any context, without, like, he just said it, and the mic was hot, and that was a big mistake because now he's out of a job, and it's not surprising whatsoever. He can't be surprised by this news either.
UT San Antonio, Jeff Traylor, the first-year head coach, has just added Stephen F. Austin to their schedule for September 19th at the Alamodome. There's going to be a little something with that game. Jeff Traylor was, without question, very much in the consideration to be the next head football coach at Stephen F. Austin. And it came down to really kind of, as it does, where you were, who was, like the one that wanted you. I believe that Baker Patillo, at the time, the president of Stephen F. Austin, who passed away, and even former AD Steve McCarty seemed to be in the camp of Jeff Traylor. We love Colby Carthel. Fantastic. Been on the show many times. He's been great. He got the job. The AD now that is at, of course, Stephen F. Austin, knew him from Texas A&M Commerce, and that's the way it is. It's the way it is. So that's going to have a little bit of interest in there because UT San Antonio's head coach, Jeff Traylor, was a finalist and maybe the leading candidate for a little bit at SFA, and now they play each other on the night. And UT San Antonio will be the favorite in that game.
Yeah.
As they should be.
Yeah, and I believe they're at BYU too, so their schedule's coming together after some interruptions. But, SFA will be good for the reasons you mentioned. And Traylor, I mean, I don't want to make this sound like it's anything against Colby Carthel as well, but Traylor would have been a great fit there. I mean, just as far as East Texas knowledge and state of Texas knowledge, but I think he's great at UT San Antonio as well, and obviously Carthel's done a good job so far with what he's had to handle with the SFA job. So, there will be a little behind-the-scenes story with those two teams linking up, and looks like UTSA with that BYU game was actually able to scrap together something, pretty competitive and pretty good for their schedule makeups.
Yeah, SFA's just trying to piece together whatever they can. Just whoever they can play, right? That's pretty cool. I like it. All right, when we come back, high school football scrimmages start tonight. Isn't that progress?
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Yeah, it seems like it.
So we've got a couple of high school football coaches that'll be on the day, and we'll start off and hit up with what we're going to do throughout every day for the next several months when it comes to our high school football coverage. And Cliff Watkins of Glen Rose is next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, the people that you can count on right now. They've got their summer savings event going on, which means that you can save thousands on a variety of vehicles, employee pricing for everyone during the summer savings event at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. That includes saving $7,000 on 2020 Yukons, $7,000 on 2020 GMC Terrains, $7,000 on 2020 Acadias. Plus, they've got the Buick Enclave. It's one of the best-selling SUVs in 2020. Right now, save $7,200 on a 2020 Buick Enclave. Plus, also, you can save thousands on a 2020 Buick Envision or a 2020 Buick Encore during the summer savings event. They've also got a little luxury, a little style, and power all rolled into one new SUV. It's the line of Cadillacs, the XT4s, the XT5s, and the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6s. You can experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. You get great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, plus in-town priority warranty service with every purchase at Richard Carr. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business, so stop by the Daily Disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else. Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeye sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great price chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Texas board certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
Here we go, Sikkim 365 Radio, 254-339-1122 is the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. Also to get on the show, there's a story about Trevor Bauer that's somewhat interesting. We'll get to that in a moment. Also hear from Glen Rose head coach Cliff Watkins in just 1 second. But let's go to the line. 254-339-1122 and the Big 12 top 5 players all time. Art, good afternoon. Thanks for your time on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Yeah, Smokey, I think you covered the most of the highlights. You don't have Ben Chung at the top of your list. I think you need a new list because he absolutely willed his team to a national title. Another good one, I think that somebody mentioned, Michael Bishop's another guy that willed his team really to the top and was, unstoppable. Pounded Baylor into the turf back at the old Ford Casey Stadium, then was upset in the Big 12 title game by Texas A&M. But, Michael Bishop's another great name. But I think you hit the highlights. It's got to be Vince, number one, thinking that McCormick and Sue, number two. Certainly they were cheated out of the Big 12 title by that Clark fiasco by Texas. So I'd put those at the very top of the list. And, then you can add an RP3 or a Crabtree or Adrian Peters and whoever, but those two are head and shoulders above the rest, I think.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate your call, buddy. Appreciate your time. 254-339-1122, the Riverbend text line, and all Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, Plus, you can be on the show. We're now joined by Cliff Watkins. He's the head football coach at Glen Rose. Last year, they went 3 rounds deep in the playoffs. The record was deceiving because of who they play, and he joins us now on Sikkim 365 Radio. Cliff, thanks for your time. Craig, Paul, David, Smoke. So what's it like to finally get to a moment where now we've gone from workouts and maybe not, and then maybe so, and now on the edge, on the verge of scrimmages?
Yes, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's an exciting day for Texas high school football, getting to go out and compete. I think the kids and the coaches have done a great job across the state of following guidelines and protocols that have been set forth by the state and the UIL and the TEA and everybody. And it's been different. It's going to be different, but thankful that we're going to get to play. And, it's been a roller coaster. Like you said, middle of July, it was all up in the air and nobody knew. And then for a while, I thought it wasn't going to happen. And then maybe, and then they released it. 4A and below is going to play a full schedule and start on time. And so we've been fortunate enough to start our practice on August 3rd and get to this point and get to go scrimmage today.
What has been the hardest part? Is it the kids keeping upbeat and optimistic? Is it the coaches, or is it kind of 50-50 of you guys, getting to this point of just believing that it was going to happen or trusting in the process?
Yeah, the crazy thing is, between the coaches and the kids, there wasn't much talk about it. We just went to summer workouts every day that we were allowed to be out there, and with a positive mindset that we were going to get to play. And because why go out there and be upbeat with kids with no, it might not happen. So the coaches and the kids, we just believed that we were going to happen. We were going to get to play, so we had to prepare like we were going to play. Didn't know when it was going to happen or what the year would look like, but just we prepared like we were going to get to play, and then fortunate enough we did, and now we just got to do everything we can to keep playing. Coach,
how differently is the beginning of practices when typically you maybe known guys are active and you've had spring to look at these guys or things like that, had them in the weight room, but with all the rules in place, it's been so distant, right? So do you kind of have to ease into things a little bit?
It is. It's been different, with missing all spring and some of the summer, especially us. We're a young football team. We got a bunch of young, inexperienced kids, and so the first week and a half, we didn't know for sure where kids needed to be or what teams they needed to be on and all that kind of stuff. But we felt like once we got started, we had to for sure be back in the weight room. The weight room looks a whole lot different, with all the disinfecting and all that stuff that goes along with it. You've got to spend more time in the weight room just to get in what you need to get in. And so definitely just a different process than usual, just being sure we're doing everything we need, but getting kids in the right place. And right now we just need a whole lot of reps with just missing a bunch of time and new faces. So a lot of reps, and excited to get out there today and see what we look like.
Yeah, you've been on a nice run, Cliff, at Glen Rose. Last year, the 7-6, 3 rounds deep, 11-2, 9-2, 8-5. You're not afraid to play people. You're not afraid to move things around to get better when you need to get better. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts? You do have a large chunk of players that have gone on and moved on and graduated. What are the expectations? What is your strength then with this team?
Yeah, we're always going to have high expectations here in Glen Rose. We're going to have a rather young football team. We have 11 sophomores that are going to start out on the varsity today, and even a freshman. And so we're going to throw them in the fire and see what we got. We're going to scrimmage a really good Stephenville team. It's a top 15 team in 4A Division I. And then we open it with Springtown next week. It's number 6 in 4A Division I. And then we got Decatur on our schedule. We got Grandview, two-time to finish state champs. We got an improved Gatesville and Mineral Wells team. So we have a tough schedule, and we like to throw them in the fire and see where we're at and see what we're good at that we can build on, and see they're going to expose us early on and know where we're weakest at and what we got to build on. We said we're young, but we have some good senior leadership back. We got a really good player at quarterback that's back for us from last year, and we got I feel like the defensive line can be a really big strength for our football team. And so we're young, but we're going to lean on the seniors that we have that have been through the fire and played in 7 playoff games in the last 2 years, and kind of lead these guys through and make it through this tough non-district schedule and see where we're at and be ready and through the fire by the time we get to district.
Do you have something that you look for in like you mentioned, a sophomore or a young player in a scrimmage that you say, okay, well, this kid might have it? Is there like an indicator for you that's pretty common?
Yeah, that's what I told them today during our athletic period. We started school a week ago, last Wednesday. And so during athletics today, we just talked about, I want to see them go compete. We're going to make mistakes. We're young. We haven't been against anybody in a really long time. We're going to make mistakes. I want to see who's going to compete and who's going to fight. We're going to get tired. It's the first scrimmage. It's going to be hot. We're not in the shape and condition we need to be in. I just want to see them go compete. Who's going to fight when they're tired, and who's going to give it everything they got every single play, and then who are the guys that are young and who's going to be timid and need to maybe look and see if we got them in the right spots. So the main thing today is just who's going to compete and who's going to get after it and really fight when they're tired.
Is it Worthen that's back at quarterback? Is that right?
It is.
Yeah, Austin, where he had nearly 2,000 yards last year for a team that went 3 rounds deep. What have you seen in whatever you can see, and how much he's changed and how much he's matured and gotten better?
Yeah, he really has. He started for us as a sophomore at safety and slot receiver, and then stepped in at quarterback last year and made huge steps throughout the year. Like I said, ended up throwing for almost 2,000 yards, rushed for over 1,000. Accounted for over 40-something touchdowns, and just the steps he made throughout the year, and now just being the leader that he is, really taking control of our football team. And I think the biggest thing is just his understanding of the offense. He knows where the ball needs to go and what it needs to do, and having a guy like him at quarterback, he can make some wrong plays right. He can get you out of some bad situations and make it right just because of the player he is, and so. It's always good to have a quarterback back, and especially the type of leader that he is.
My question then, we mentioned scrimmages, 4A's and down. A lot of them are scrimmaging either tonight or tomorrow. Are you scrimmaging tonight or tomorrow?
Tonight. We go to Stephenville and we scrimmage at Tarleton at 7 o'clock tonight.
Well, you've coached there before. Won a state championship as a coach on that. That'll be kind of a trip down memory lane, huh?
Yeah, it'll be fun to go back. Always good to go back. Charleston. It's a good place, and so excited to go back and see what we look like on the field tonight.
Well, hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on with us. Good luck tonight, Cliff. Good afternoon, and thanks for your time. Cliff Watkins, head coach at Glen Rose. They've had a nice little run. He was at Eastland and actually was 21-5 in 2 years as the head coach at Eastland. Then he became the offensive coordinator at Midland Lee. Then 5 years at Stephenville, where he won a state championship, and then also at Cisco for 3, and then was also at Stephenville another time during a different time, 2012.
Are you allowed
probably
to
coached
coach?
Jarrett Stritt. I think he coached Jarrett Stidham.
Are you allowed to coach in high school football in Texas if you haven't been to Stephenville at least
at
one point or another? Because it seems like everybody has.
Either at you got to maybe go through Tarleton.
Yeah,
you do some grad work there, something. Yeah, That's the hotbed.
It is. Every coach has been there at one point or another.
It used to be Brownwood. You know, in college football, if you look at most college football coaches, like, in fact, Cliff Watkins is at Tarleton, Stephenville. Usually, it doesn't mean you haven't been elsewhere, but it's Tarleton State or it's Stephen F. Austin. And then there are the Sam Houston States, among others. But those are the ones that crank out what seem to be most of the high school coaches in this state.
Yeah. Yep, it's got a good little lineage.
The Stars tonight can close out. The Mavericks last night were impressive. They're now 1-1 with the Clippers. It's nice that there are games and things to discuss about them.
Yeah, it is. It's real nice. It's nice the Mavs got that win last night. Could very well be 2-0 in favor of the Mavs, quite frankly. But unlike in Game 1 where, they went back and forth and, eventually the KP ejection, that obviously was a killer. They weren't able to finish the job. But last night, they got the lead and they they held on to it. They were very impressive, and they just have a great chemistry. And Lucas, super special. Porzingis, the guy is just a freak of nature. Quite frankly, when you think about it, everybody talks about him being a unicorn, right? But it's so true, because he just does not play like a guy who is his size. It's a very dangerous matchup. So between, those two at the top of their roster and what they have around, their bench was fantastic last night. that was as big as anything else as well, as they got great contributions from their bench. So I like the way they're put together. I still don't feel like they're championship level just yet, but in a year like this, who the heck knows, quite frankly. It's all about getting in that bubble and who can come out of that bubble.
When we come back, Max Olson on many things, college football, Mickey Spagnola, Cowboys at 4:30, Centerville's Kyle Hardy, that's an old Grizzly veteran. He's been around forever, at 4:45. And then Gene Stallings, 85 years young. There's a rumor on the board that at one point when Grant Taft left, that maybe Gene Stallings' name had come about as a part of maybe the next coach at Baylor. We'll ask him about that. Of course, he had a national championship team at Alabama. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters, Jay Arrett. One of the best things that ever happened to that business, and they were already really good, that Jay Arrett took over and brought them to another level. 20-plus years in the business, 220 Lakewood Drive in Waco. You want to dice up, spice up, or add accessories to your pickup truck, your SUV, even minivan, he can do it. They can do it with all of what they have, with all you see inside their showroom, and then put it on to your vehicle. The best in the business. You want bed covers? You want retractable bed covers? You want lay-in or spray-in bed liners? Pickup Outfitters can do that with security helping. When you put in a bed cover in your pickup truck, you get security to keep things secure. And by the way, locking bed covers, but almost every truck bed is secure if you have the solid bed cover and your tailgate is locked. You cannot open the bed cover if your tailgate is locked. Shelter from the elements, even the heat right now, bearing down on whatever's in the pickup bed. And then, of course, privacy, extra storage space, and so many different options of the kind you can have. All professionally installed with Pickup Outfitters, lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. Pickup Outfitters now serving Waco for now 20-plus years, and they have the bed liners and the bumpers and the grills and whatever else you want to put on your vehicle. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lakewood Drive in Waco, or createacommotion.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131, 254-598-8131.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
3rd down and 11. Lawrence forced to scramble. Now throws, has 2 receivers open. Clemson touchdown. Justin Ross.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour. Max Olson, we appreciate his time, commitment, loyalty, and so much more. He joins us from theathletic.com. Max, this is kind of throwing it in your lap at the last second, but late yesterday afternoon, we put up a note of the top 5 greatest Big 12 players of all time. And, of course, the 3 or 4 names that are a part of everybody's list seem to be Vince Young, Ndamukong Suh, Ricky Williams,
Adrian Peterson,
and then there's kind of a combination of either Roy Williams from Oklahoma, and there's been Eric Crouch and Sam Bradford and Colt McCoy and a couple of others. How would you, if you were to, and just kind of throwing it in your face, not so much you have to do it in order, but you're 5.
Man, you should have signed me some homework here. I could have put some real thought and work into this.
I know. We're just so lazy.
Well, I think are we talking about best careers or best athletes?
I'd say career. No, the guys who had the top 5 greatest impact, because Michael Bishop, K-State, could be a part of this conversation. There's another one. But the 5 greatest players that impacted the conference.
It's great. I covered Sue up close and personal. I think he's probably one of the most dominant guys I've ever seen. I think he's got to be on that list. Again, you sort of go to, like, to me, there's I don't think we've seen a player since Adrian Peterson that compares, but it's also like, was he the best player? Like, he probably should have won that Heisman as a freshman. I think you got to put him in that 5 somewhere, even if, you come out early and all that. Yeah, you put Vince in there. Boy, it's funny. This actually came up in a conversation with a staffer at a Big 12 school, because we were talking about. I was asking them about. It was a staffer I was asking them about if they consider Brock Purdy the best quarterback in school history. Like, he's kind of on track for that, and they kind of argued there's nobody that's going to change their program more than him in the Big 12. Like, who are the guys that, like, besides RG3? Who are the guys that sort of like change their program more than anybody? that's kind of like he's kind of the guy, right? In terms of like totally changing your place in this conference. And so for that reason, he deserves some mention in this, I would think.
Yeah,
know?
he put them to. They had been in a drought for a decade and a half plus, and they changed. They became relevant. He had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a fun conversation. I could probably come up with probably 10 more guys that are worth mentioning in that. But what did you guys like sort of settle on? What do you feel good about?
Vince Young and Sue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Williams, right? Did we have him?
Yeah.
I was the one that mentioned OU Roy. Paul,
and Eric Crouch.
Eric Crouch was a part of it. Craig, who else? Adrian Peterson. I'm sorry. That was
Peterson.
Yeah.
But the fifth one I put in there was Crabtree.
Okay. Well, and it's funny, like, now that we have, like, sort of different contexts, like, you never hear people mention Mahomes on that list, right? But he put up those kind of numbers throughout. And there's some of those sort of individual talents, too, right, where it's like, when Des Bryant was playing, he was phenomenal. When Blackman was playing, he was phenomenal. But you don't really talk about them in that sort of sense, right, of, like, top five. But I think you're on the right track in terms of the guys that have to be on there.
You know,
yeah, I think there's like 3 to 4 automatics really, and there's like 1 or 2 wild card spots.
Vince, Ricky, Sue, and Adrian, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw Adrian as an automatic, but I think Vince, Ricky, and Sue are the for sure guys.
And then you could just kind of chew on. You could be like out at a tailgate with you and everyone 6 feet apart. Having this discussion for hours.
At Florida State apparently is one of the places you can do that this year.
We're not scared.
Yeah,
that'll go well.
Max, when you wake up in the morning, are you glancing at what? And you have your own sources. People are pounding on you, text, whatever. But do you wake up in the morning sometimes and look at your text, or you look at Twitter and you're kind of like?
Yeah, a little bit. I accidentally woke up at like 6 a.m. today, and so it's been a long one. It's been a sleepy day for sure. But I feel like every day you're sort of like I looked at my phone on last Saturday, and my phone said that I had been on the Twitter app last week for a total of like 14 hours. And that's just not a very healthy way to live, fellas. So, I think that's where we're at, right? You sort of feel like something could break at any moment, and it is so much more like 24/7 in terms of like there's just a couple important things happening every day right now.
All right, so your thoughts on, and I saw some of them on Twitter about this kind of free year of eligibility as the best way of putting it. How do they work it out? Yeah, I don't know. Is it a free year? What is it? It doesn't count. It's
I haven't really heard like the best way to describe it yet. Maybe frozen eligibility for a year. It's something that I talked about with Shane Lyons from West Virginia last Friday. He's pretty influential in all this. He's on the D1 Council. He's the chair of the Football Oversight Committee. And as we were talking about, testing all this other stuff in the Big 12, I brought that up, and he's like, "Yeah, you know what? I kind of changed my mind. We need to go ahead and do this for players, and because whether they play in the spring, for these fall athletes and specifically the football players, whether their season's in the fall or the spring, it's not going to be the same, and it's going to be short no matter what. So you need to give them some peace of mind that this is not going to count for their eligibility." And these are just kind of the crazy times we're in, that something like that is really, really important and has a lot of ripple effect can basically just get approved in a week.
Max, do you think most coaches are relieved by this news, or now are suddenly scattering in their brains trying to figure out how they're going to make it work with depth charts? And now, like, suddenly, in theory, Charlie Brewer is scheduled to leave this year. He could be back next season. So, I mean, there's no perfect solution, obviously, but do you think there's just another set of problems now kind of on their plates, or is this being more celebrated as an overall positive?
Well, first of all, it's still got to get officially approved tomorrow by the board, but I think we're still heading in that direction. I've heard from some folks that, recruiting coordinators and DFOs who are like, is this really happening? This is amazing. I think probably if you're in the Big Ten or the Pac-12 right now, I don't think you're that thrilled about this because it's another advantage for these programs that are still trying to play this fall. But there's a ton of effects that come with this. And when I talked with Shane Lyons about it last Friday, he understood that. He was sort of like, we need to get this done, and then we can figure out all that stuff later. But there's a lot to figure out. I mean, that all we know so far is the model would basically be that that seniors in next fall, returning seniors would be exempt from your 85. But I think you need to first of all set a limit on that of is your roster 105, 110, because otherwise you could have schools go out and add a bunch of grad transfers next fall. How long does it take to get back to 85 from that? It would take a few years. And so sort of what are the rules on that? I think just the impact for all these guys, it's great that they have a choice, but it's going to be fascinating to see what these players decide to do, and certainly how long the season ends up being is a big factor in that. But like if you're Charlie Brewer, you could look at it and say, hey, I love being in this program. I love playing with my guys. Of course I want another year. Or you could say, look, I'm graduating. This is my plan. I've always planned to move on from college. Some kids at this point are just ready to be done with college too, and so they're going to have interesting decisions to make, in the spring with draft deadline and all that. And you think about it, every year we sort of wait and see which underclassmen go pro. This year or next year can conceivably be basically every senior making a decision on whether they want to go pro or come back for another year. So it's pretty, that part of it. And then you've also got the underclassmen, lumped in with them. So just the draft part of this and the scouting part of it is also just wild.
When basketball went through their, boom, it's over, there was this immediate outcry that everyone should be given another year back. And I disagreed. I know it'd be great. I'm sure that Kim Mulkey would love to have had Lauren Cox back for another year or whoever else. But, there was also, I got some feedback from some basketball coaches like, whoa. And of course, there's just a lot less numbers with basketball. Could be one, it could be none, could be five. But there were some that were like, whoa, we've got some dudes coming through here, And but there's no way if you're Dave Aranda, Larry Fedora, and George Munoz that if you get Charlie Brewer back for another year, if he has another year this year and everything stays the same, they would absolutely be thrilled, you would think.
Sure, but this is also in any program, right? Like, I'm sure if you're Jacob Zeno, you're sort of planning on getting a chance to be the guy in 21, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like there's a lot of sort of long-term planning in all these kids' heads, and so when that stuff gets changed, it's it's going to have an effect. And I think one thing that is definitely going to happen, and I'm not saying Baylor's going to do this, I'm just saying this is going to be a thing probably throughout the country, is that there probably still will be tough conversations between coaches and players saying, hey, look, just to be straight with you, I think you probably should grad transfer. I think we're going to, maybe move on, or we don't have a spot for you or whatever. So I do think there may be a lot of that going on, which is not great. And you got to keep in mind, too, this is also, we're talking about doing this and also potentially having the one-time transfer exception in 2021. So it's just a total, and potentially paying these guys for their NIL rights. So it could just be a total circus next year.
Hey, jeez.
Yeah.
I forgot about the one-time transfers. Hey, you won the lottery. Yeah.
Speaking of, why, kind of circus acts, the Big Ten, why did they not just say what they said? I mean, it's not going to change a lot of their coaches' minds about anything, but why did Kevin Warren keep all this stuff a secret for a whole week?
I think Kevin Warren very much underestimated that he would just sort of get the benefit of the doubt from people on this because, hey, it's a global pandemic. And if I say it's unsafe to do this, everyone's going to understand, health and safety is important. And so if they don't think it's possible, it's not possible. And instead, the total opposite has happened. And is that because, Kevin Warren's in his first year as the commissioner of the Big Ten? That's a factor. I think the explanations he gave from the very beginning on BTN when you kind of couldn't give straight answers on this stuff. And I think that was a big mistake. I think the rest of the Power Five learned from that too, that like, you know, if the day comes that the Big 12 feels like they can't play football, I think Bob Bowlesby understands he's going to learn from Kevin Warren's mistakes, that you need to come out and say, here's our plan for the rest of the fall. Here's what we're hoping for in terms of a spring model. You have to be able to give some answers to these student athletes about here's what's coming next. And I think that's why the parents are so outraged, and you see them revolting because, you know, it's a tough deal for coaches and players that, hey, we're shutting it down and we don't have any answers for what comes next. Sorry, guys. You know what I mean? It just doesn't sit well with anybody. And so waiting a week to release a letter to lay out your reasoning for this stuff, you know, trying to kind of silence all the presidents on, you know, what they believed and what they voted and all that, it's just really been botched for a week. And I think they hope that they can sort of really put that to bed yesterday, but we'll see. I think there's clearly it's not just Nebraska anymore. There's a lot of angst around the conference now about how this was mishandled.
Yeah, that's there's no question. Greg Doyle of the Indianapolis Star, I think it is, the Indy Star, wrote an article about what a lot of people need to do is stop focusing so much their anger on Kevin Warren and look at those presidents and ADs, because they could have handled a lot of this differently. And, of course, Greg, I don't know, have you ever bumped into him before, Max?
I've read his work for years. He used to be a columnist for CBS Sports. That guy's really good.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he is not afraid of typing what he feels. He's a great columnist.
He was the one who asked LeBron the question in the finals against Dallas, where he asked him, do you worry about how people perceive you? And LeBron was like, well, I'll wake up tomorrow and be me. So no.
I remember that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He starts it off, and I know we got to move on, and you do too, but Big Ten commissioner has not helped himself. His conference postponed the season, If you're going to read this story as a defensive war, and stop reading now. This is a defense like Rutgers plays defense. Rutgers allowed 37 points a game. But he gets into, this is about the 80s and presidents, that Warren happens to be the guy. It's kind of like when you blame Bob Bowlesby, although some commissioners have double barrel, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's Mike Slive, Jim Delaney. Bowlesby's getting much more thoughts about how he's running the conference. But, yeah, Kevin Warren just stepped into a mess, unfortunately, for him. But it's a really good column in the Indianapolis Star. Max, thank you as always. Thanks for your time.
Well, I just want to add one thing on that. I saw this today, too, that the Aiden Hutchinson, a defensive lineman from Michigan, I think he did a podcast and basically said, our president voted no on this, and I've never met that guy in my 3 years here, right? So there's just that frustration of who made the call on this, why are we doing this, and I think that's going to linger, especially when you sort of look on the other side of the fence and see, wow, these Power Fives might actually be able to pull off some semblance of a season. I don't think this issue is going away anytime soon.
Yep, no question. Max Olson with us on Thursdays at 4 from theathletic.com and covering college football, quite a bit of the Big 12 as well. Thanks, Max. Appreciate it. One of the paragraphs that Greg Doyle in his article, only the president, he goes, canceling the Big 10 football season will cost the conference about $1 billion. The projected revenue loss is somewhere between $50 and $100 million for each school. Only the presidents can do such a thing, including your president, Sandy Barbour. But it's Kevin Warren's job as the face of the conference to announce it. He did that thinking he'd be backed by his presidents, but now he knows better. League presidents are sitting quietly as Warren gets blamed for everything, including the handling of the bombshell announcement, which is ridiculous. And he goes on. It's kind of like when we talked about when Baylor had their horrible times. Nobody was saying bad things. Nobody was saying anything. They were just letting them like twist in the wind. And then Gordon Gee finally stepped up from West Virginia when it was, of course, well down the road.
Yeah, but
a lot of sources were taking pot shots at a school that's a part of the conference.
That's seemingly
without
kind of
their name.
The par for the course, because you let somebody. I think part of it is you let somebody. The strategy is it's very political. You let someone get kicked while they're down until you can be the one who helps them up and look good. So everybody let them get kicked while they're down and then be the one like, look, okay, they've had enough.
Well, he's learned a valuable lesson in year one already. Hadn't even been through a football season and is already going through this and has already been scapegoated. I don't hate Kevin Warren or really have much thought of him. I just know that this has been handled badly, and at the end of the day, he's getting paid the big bucks to be the guy that takes the fall for whatever the conference does, whether good or bad. He's either going to be praised when they do something good or he's going to take the fall. So they made a pretty abrupt decision without really telling many people of what their plans were. That was clearly intentional. If not, then I think there are some major leadership concerns to have raised, but I do believe it was intentional. I do believe that they thought everybody else was just going to pack their bags and say, well, we tried, okay. The Big Ten, though, they're pulling the plug, and knew the Pac-12 was basically right behind them. So, it backfired in a big way. Now, he may end up looking like a genius when this is all said and done, because the Big 12 and all these other conferences might start, and they might get 2 weeks in and then have to just shelve the entire thing and go, wow, this was a disaster. We probably should have waited. Who knows? But, certainly just based on what we've seen so far, he didn't handle it the right way, and I'm sure he'll be smart enough to learn from that.
Well, I do like the hubris of any conference that's not the SEC. The SEC didn't care what anybody else did.
No.
They were going to do what they were going to do. And I think that's, that was pretty important, although they did need more than just one other big conference in with them. Otherwise, it would have looked kind of weird. But even still, the Big Ten, the hubris that they showed, like, we're just going to do this and everyone will fall in line. Look, just because the Pac-12 does whatever you do doesn't mean that everyone else is going to fall in line. And, again, more reason why more further compartmentalization needs to be made at the NCAA level to control college football differently.
Another part of his column, this is Greg Doyle, Indy Star. Look, Kevin Warren hasn't done much to impress me, but this is the best part. Starting with that awful trophy wall he uses when he conducts interviews on TV. Behind him are degrees earned by Kevin Warren, framed stories about Kevin Warren, awards won by Kevin Warren. It's unseemly. You're the commissioner of the Big Ten. That's all you need to impress anyone is your title. And then he goes on to tell the story about Paul Westphal. He was doing an interview with him about he lives near a golf course. He goes, I live in Malibu, and I live near a golf course, but I don't have a hookup to play golf. And Doyle then says, you're Paul Westphal. You're Paul Westphal. Why do you need a hookup? You are a hookup. And Kevin Warren and his background, and I don't have a background. Mine's the door and a wall, like into the bathroom or something. I do anything on Zoom.
You're looking at mine.
All right, Carl Campbell, Brandon, JT, Leon, they're on the text line. We'll come back with some of what they've said. Also at the bottom of the hour, Mickey Spagnola, Centerville High School's Kyle Hardy, and then eventually Gene Stallings today at 5, Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help your family, your business, you. Whether it's tough times, great times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology, dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Save banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They have Secure Lock Equip. And what is that? That's how you control your debit card, how you control how it's used. Smokey's benefited from this. I've benefited from this. You get instant notification when your card is used. You can turn it on and off if you're traveling. So say you're going overseas and you're not going to use it. You can turn it off. You can tell them, hey, when you go to the bank, you call the bank up and say, hey, I'm going, on a trip, so, I'll be in Boston, or I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you see purchases there, add that there. They won't shut my card off and I want to deal with it. Or, when you get a purchase that's weird, then you get it immediately and hey, look, I wasn't in Sheboygan, Wisconsin today. Boom, it's done. You control your ATM withdrawals and you can set spending limits. The First National Bank of Central Texas.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville. But we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy. That's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters. And then if they refuse, you can say, well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state. Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131, 254-598-8131.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com.
And it's Prescott wide open. Touchdown, Blake Jarwin.
All right, here we go. I just stuck a candy bar in my mouth. I thought there was, like, here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina. That's a bad waste of part of that candy bar. Golly, Paul.
Well, sorry about that. I usually just do that at the top of the hour.
But you know what that shows me? I don't need to eat it.
No.
We're now joined by Mickey Spagnola. We will get to the text line from Leon, Carl, Brandon, and JT, among others. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Hey, man, what's it like? There's actual, like, football things happening.
Actual football that I'm watching in actual person, in an actual football field, and not sitting at home watching it virtually or on television.
All right, Mickey, so Gerald McCoy goes down, and the Cowboys were really excited about him, but he did come in with kind of that pre-existing quad situation. How do you think that they react to that? Because Everson Griffin's kind of a different position on the other side. How do they do that? Is it Tyrone Crawford? Is it the young guys? Who is it?
Yeah, all that. And then some. The young guys will get the first opportunity with Tristan Hill, Neville Gallimore, those two guys for sure. And, I know Tristan Hill was sort of a washout last year. Their second-round pick really didn't produce much. But he seems to be a different guy. And maybe the short time he was around Gerald McCoy rubbed off. But he kind of reshaped his body. He kind of looks like he's reshaped his attitude. So we'll see where that goes. He's getting the first opportunity. Gallimore's in there. And then they always have Mr. Reliable, Tyrone Crawford, though coming off those 2 hip surgeries that ended his season last year. He's played the 3 technique defensive tackle. So it might be a combination of all 3. And then there's also the possibility that, like on nickel downs, and you know how Marinelli used to like to move defensive ends into pass rushers at defensive tackle. Let's remember with Everson Griffin here and Alden Smith. Alden Smith, 280 pounds, you could probably move him inside, and with his size and reach, he could do some damage. And Joe Jackson, last year's 5th-round pick, he's 285, and he did some rushing inside last year. So, yeah, it'll take more than one person to replace McCoy. But I think the thing people need to realize is even though Gerald McCoy is a 6-time Pro Bowler, his last year or 2 weren't the quality that they once were. So they took a flyer on it, a $3 million basically gamble, and they lost. But at least they protected themselves and gained $4.75 million in guarantees back because they put the clause in his contract knowing that he had a pre-existing quadriceps situation.
Mickey, I know it's early, and speaking of uncertainty, Alden Smith, you mentioned him, but seems like there's a little bit of a buzz about him. I know part of that could just be that he's back and whatnot, but have you seen some early reason for optimism on the Alden Smith front?
Yeah, for a guy that hasn't played football over the last 4 seasons and probably going on close to 5 years, he sure looks like he can come along. Now, it may take some time, but from a size factor, guys got arms that go forever. They're using him a lot in stand-up situations as a defensive end, and he's moving awfully well. And I thought today Dak probably said it best when they asked him about Alden Smith. He goes, he's a man, he's a monster, and he damn sure doesn't look like he hasn't played football in 5 years. And I thought that properly summed up what we've seen so far of Alden Smith. Now, let's remember, he hasn't had to make a tackle. It's basically a bunch of pass rushing, and touch up on the runs, but they just might have found something that landed in their lap before all said and done.
They are fearless when it comes to this. Sometimes they've been known to be maybe even reckless, but if you have the opportunity, is his contract friendly? It seemed like what you mentioned when you were talking about McCoy, I'm like, they were smart enough to put that clause in the contract, which means they did their due diligence. And you wonder, yes, everybody has team doctors and trainers and all that to make sure you understand what somebody has as a possible injury or been injured. But that's brilliant. And they haven't always been known for that.
No, you're exactly right, David. And they saw that, and maybe that's why, I scratched my head and go, how did they land a guy like McCoy? And then you thought, well, maybe he wanted to move back this way. His son was going to be a freshman at Oklahoma, wanted to be closer, be able to see his games, da-da-da. But maybe other teams were scared away once they saw the pre-existing condition. So the Cowboys' savvy contract protected themselves. And really the deal with Alden Smith is, it gets reported as 1 year as much as $4 million, but it's 1 year with a $410,000 base salary, a very small signing bonus. So really, it's a 1 year, maybe a $2 million deal that has the opportunity to get to $4 with a lot of clauses in the contract. So yeah, it's a very inexpensive gamble on a guy that hasn't played since the end of the 2015 season. I think I just figured it up. If he steps on the field on September 13th, it'll be 56 and a half months since he's played a real down of football.
Mickey, how different does the offense look, at least from your perspective of what you're able to watch?
Well, they're not using a fullback. There's not a heavy dose of two tight ends. So it looks like the base offense could be a 3 wide receiver set, which includes CeeDee Lamb, and well, it should. But as for plays, I haven't seen anything radically different. And you know, everybody wants to know what's different. Well, you know what? They were the number one offense last year. So whatever they were doing was working. It just didn't work in a couple of games that were critical. So we'll see where all this goes, but it's not like they, you know, reinvented the wheel here on offense. You know, they still run slant routes with Amari Cooper. They still run go routes with Michael Gallup. And they can do an array of different things with CeeDee Lamb, believe me. I think this guy's his transition from college to the pro ball league will be a short one.
Well, that's going to get some people excited who are already excited about CeeDee Lamb's possibilities. Mickey, I know that Stephen Jones talked a little bit about Tyron Smith having some hamstring tightness. Lyle Collins was in a minor car accident, and apparently everything's good on those fronts. Is Tyron Smith, though, just kind of at the point in his career where, I mean, he doesn't need a ton of training camp, and you just have to be cautious with him? I mean, that's not of any concern, right? That's just kind of Tyron Smith and how it's going to be with him moving forward.
Well, you know how and I'm sure you guys have heard, for the first time, I think, since Landry days, they put the red jerseys on the quarterback, like hands off. Mm-hmm. They ought to just put a red jersey on Tyron Smith. Don't touch this guy. We need him to start the season and be healthy. Yeah, it was a little bit of a tight hammy, and so they're always very conservative dealing with him. The idea is September 13th, not August 20th. So they err on the side of caution with him. You know, Lel wasn't even practicing yet. He had the back issues flare up, kind of a leftover from the end of last year. So while he was out there, he hadn't been practicing. And I noticed he wasn't there this morning. I was like, what's the deal? So we finally found out. So the biggest problem is for practice, because you don't have Lel Collins, then you didn't have Tyron Smith, and the guy they signed to be the swing tackle, Cam Irving, hasn't practiced yet, and basically all we've been able to find out is he's got quote-unquote health issues, but not COVID-19, because they could put him on the COVID list and, you know, they can get another spot for 3 weeks. So now you're down your top 3 tackles, and now you're using guys like Wyatt Miller and Terrence Steele and Brandon Knight, and gosh, you know, Aldon Smith and DeMarcus Lawrence are feasting on these guys, and they're meeting for a meeting at the red jersey of Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I like what I've heard from what I have heard, and I haven't really been there like you are, or Paul does a podcast on the Cowboys. I haven't listened to a lot of it. It's kind of sad because at training camp, you just soak all that in for 5, 10, 20 days, 30 days, depending on how long you're there. But overall, what is the impression, or do you have a chance to pick the brain of players on what they've at least heard so far from McCarthy?
They all seem to be on board with what he's selling. A lot of the guys like the way he addresses them in team meetings. He's pretty frank. And the other thing I keep hearing is how he takes care of the players, meaning physically, that he doesn't overwork them. I know Everson Griffin was talking about that today, and he said that was one of the big reasons why he chose the Cowboys, was that he had heard how McCarthy takes care of his players. And he said for somebody that's going to his 11th season in the league, that's big. And I'm not sure what they're talking about, but this has been a kind of somewhat muted start to training camp because even though they have 2-hour practices, now that they're in pads, the first hour is basically individual drills. And then the second hour they go into team. And there's a break or two. And, Jason Garrett gave them breaks. But his practices probably were a little bit more physical. But then this is a different situation. You can't start off being physical when you had no off season. You had no strength and conditioning that you were allowed to bring the players in for OTAs, mini camp. So what the guys are saying is, it's like they're elevating a little bit by little, but not all at once. And I think that's a good thing. And, the idea is to keep these guys healthy and make it to the start of the season. They'll have a couple sessions, I would imagine, here sometime soon, maybe next week, where there's actually a little bit of hitting, tackling, but there probably won't be very much. So this will be a strange start to the season without any preseason games, and makes it probably a little bit more difficult, you guys, to pick a 55-man roster, especially for young guys, because you're not going to get to see them in real game action. Now they're supposed to stage a scrimmage at the stadium August 30th, but I don't know how much of a scrimmage it's going to be with veteran guys. I think it'll be kind of a show thing, but again, they've got to be very careful when they don't want to get into. David, and you remember this in 2011 when they had the deal and the CBA didn't get finalized till a Monday, and Wednesday the Cowboys left for San Antonio to training camp, and the entire league had a rash of injuries because those guys weren't allowed into the facilities after mid-March, and they didn't have any off-season strength and conditioning. So I think they're being more cognizant of that this time and taking it maybe a little bit of a slower pace, but we'll see what that does to the game quality in that first one when you don't play Northeast Louisiana State or something like that.
Thank you, Mickey. Mickey Spagnola with us. DallasCowboys.com Thursdays at 4:30. We appreciate his time throughout every part of the year, off-season, in-season, and whatever else there might be. When we come back, Kyle Hardy, longtime head coach at Centerville. Then later on, Gene Stallings, the legendary Gene Stallings, today at 5. And this is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Are you in the market for a new home? Or you're trying to sell the one you got? Well, you need to call my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Let them be your go-to source as you search for that perfect home. Give them a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. There are so many hoops to jump through when buying a home. There's so many things that you may not even know. There's some things you may not know that you want. There's some things you may know that you want for sure. Lance can take all that information, put it into a big pot, mix it up, and he's going to find you your dream home. Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
The biggest summer sale is still on at your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels in Waco. The summer clearance event is where there's still 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on almost everything. The world's most awarded SUV is on sale. Jeep Grand Cherokee with 0 for 72 financing and no payments for 90 days. Or choose Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Renegade, or Jeep Compass. All 0 for 72. Update your ride and save at Allen Samuels.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive. 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top-quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help you and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
Kyle Hardy has been at Centerville High School for 3 decades. 30 years, half of that time as the head football coach. Centerville, of course, a team that when I think about them, I think about a team that will bruise you. That they're going to run the football. They're going to pound you and play defense. And Kyle Hardy now joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoke. Did I summarize what you want to be, or what you are, or who you have been, or not?
Well, that's certainly what we aim to be, and I hope it's who we are, David. I hope we go out and play a physical style of football, and feel like those are the kind of kids we have, and that's what we have to do to be successful.
Are you still what offense? You run the multiple wing, which is what you and why you have these great, massive, what seem like rushing numbers. Are you still just like real tight with that, or are you getting a little bit more loose with what you do now on the edges?
We really try to be multiple, David, and we're going to still run some misdirection. Obviously, we've been trying to play a lot more power football the last few years. We've had some big backs. Right now, we don't have as many of those big backs, those 200-plus pounders, and so we're trying to mix it up a little more. We've got a quarterback we really feel like can throw the ball this year, and we're going to use the play action more. We've got a 6'3" receiver that we really feel good about, and so certainly we're going to go in every year. We're going to look at who our weapons are, and we're going to try to utilize those guys.
Coach, just what did you make of the way your kids have been able to kind of navigate their way through the last few months? And what has that caused as far as, when bringing them back? Is it a little bit of a slower start than typical because you're having to play so much catch-up, or how has that worked for you guys?
Well, I think our kids handled the summer real well. When they had the opportunity to come up here, even though it's a volunteer basis, they got up here and they worked to get better. Now, we didn't spend much of that time, per se, on football. We were trying to get catch up on some of the things we missed. I mean, some of these kids were away from us for 5 months, and anytime kids are away for that long, you can't just regain it in a week or 2 or 5 weeks or whatever. It's going to be a slow process. So I know this: our kids are excited, and just every coach I've talked to is the same way. Kids miss being around each other. They missed the normal day, so to say, and we're excited to be back. We're a really young football team this year, the youngest that I've ever had, and we're going to be leaning on a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and it is what it is. But man, we're excited. We're excited for the opportunity that's before us, and just hope everything keeps going in a positive way. Certainly, our kids' health is our number one concern, but boy, it's nice to have an opportunity.
You scrimmaging tonight or tomorrow?
We're tonight.
Who are you scrimmaging against?
Got Bruce Violetti and Dawson coming in here.
All right, so you got a scrimmage tonight. Does that? I mean, there's been these, I guess, levels of getting past thresholds. Is this one by just getting after somebody else? Is it you've had scrimmages all your life, ever since you've been coaching forever? But is this scrimmage because of what you've dealt with even more special?
I don't think I've ever been so excited for a scrimmage. and it's just, one thing, David, just get back on the field. And when you're dealing with so many young kids, and man, I love coaching the young kids. They're hungry, and I've got a great group of seniors I think the world of, and they're being great leaders for these young kids. But it's going to be a fun year for us watching these kids grow, because we think they're special now. They're young, but we think they're special, and we're going to make some mistakes this year, but I think we'll just watch them continue to grow, and we're excited about that.
I asked Coach Watkins from Glen Rose this question earlier. When you have a young team, what do you want to see tonight in a scrimmage that'll let you know that, all right, these guys, there might be some ups and downs because they're young, but they've got something to them?
I want to see motors. I want to see what we try to be, and that's be physical. And I told the kids a while ago at the end of the period, I said, look, we'll fix the mistakes. Let's just go play Centerville Tiger football. Let's try to get after them. We know we're playing 2 highly regarded teams tonight, 2 veteran teams, and I just want to go get after it. Obviously, it's a scrimmage, just like every week, but right now we want to come out healthy and get some film on these kids, and we'll go back to the field and practice and fix the mistakes.
Go ahead, Craig.
Coach, I was just curious of what you thought about your district. A couple of familiar teams that you've been playing with, but a couple of new teams as well mixed in. So what are your thoughts on, what you're facing in that regard this year?
Son of gun, I thought it was tough. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, these are teams we've been meeting in the playoffs, and here we are in the same district, and we've had some big games with some of those guys. And every team in the district was in the playoffs last year, several of them multiple rounds, and so we know we got our hands full. But we've played tough non-district schedules every year, so we'll just continue to try to get better every Friday night. See if we can be ready when that time rolls around.
And some of the teams you're playing, I'm telling you, I'm old. I've been in business since 1981 covering high school football. But I started out in that Lufkin, Nacogdoches, and I see Alto, I see Groveton, I see Grapeland, and those are some tradition-rich programs.
Well, and then you got a non-district with Cord and Camden sitting over there, and Bremont. I mean, it's tough. We're throwing them to the wolves, but we've always kind of felt like iron sharpens iron. We're going to go out there and just try to get after people and just, like I say, get better.
All right. So 30 years at Centerville. How long were you anywhere else coming out of Sam Houston State before you went to Centerville?
I was not. I was in private business, and I went to school in Centerville. My dad was a long-time administrator here, and I was in private business around here. And one of my old coaches offered me the opportunity and talked to me about coming back, and it was something I always wanted to do. And so I took that long route. I didn't start till I was about 27 years old, and I've had a few opportunities over the years, but I got 4 kids. My baby, she's going to graduate this year from Centerville. It's just been a great place for us, and just where I felt like I was supposed to be.
Well, then I have to ask you, because this is not like you're just coming fresh out of college. when you were told you had to be a part of a Zoom meeting the first time, when was it? What did you say, and did you know even what it was?
I didn't know what it was, but I said I'll have to call my wife because I have no clue, and she'll tell you right now. She anything that has to do with technology, Michelle handles it. You probably know that because if I ever have to send you anything, she's probably the one sending it. But it is what it is. And
I know. I absolutely have known you long enough where thank God for her, right? Yeah.
That's right.
God, you get an email from me and you start shivering. You're just like shaking. Oh, my God. What the hell does he want now?
That's right.
It's fun to laugh. It's fun to laugh a little bit, huh?
That's it. I am who I am. I'm one of those, I call myself one of those legal pad guys. You know, I write everything on legal pad.
Oh, my goodness. You've had a heck of a run. Continue up. Good luck, Kyle. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the scrimmage. Appreciate you.
Hey, we appreciate what y'all do for the kids.
All right, you too. That's Kyle Hardy, head coach at Centerville, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Well, we've had some throwbacks. Lonnie Flippin yesterday. Today, both our coaches have been guys that have been around, have got some, what do they call it, rings around the tree trunk, on the around the tree. Coming up next, speaking of which, 85 years young, sharp as a tack, Gene Stallings, one of the Junction Boys, head coach, Texas A&M, part of the Alabama National Championship. Of course, the Cowboys for many years. Gene Stallings next on Sikkim 365 Radio. I just got a text from Braden Embry from Pioneer Steel and Pipe. I was just asking him, hey, where'd you go to high school? He said, Riesel. You got a heck of a nice coach there, and Keith Stiffelmeyer's done a great job in handling a lot of what's going on with the workouts and the changes of what people have to face every single day now with COVID and much more. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, 1943. Wow, that's a long time. 77 years they've been in business, 77 years they've taken care of you with the best in product and also the very best when it comes to customer service. Metal buildings and components for metal roofing, structural pipe, structural steel, beams, channel iron, flat iron, angle iron, square tubing, large, heavy inventory. And they have it at Pioneer Steel and Pipe locations in both Waco and Bryan, open on Saturday mornings if you need to go do some of that work or go pick something up you've ordered from 8 until noon. Large pipe inventory that gives you many options on building a nice fence, an entryway, or much more with cost-effective options, including a large inventory of the number one quality used pipe. And if you're going to do a metal building, you want some kind of help with that, they can make sure that everything a part of the bid is sound. It's not cheap. Do it right, because that's what you want. That's what's safe. Also, PioneerBoys.com, by the way, online, they will load up and bring it to you. We are talking about stuff that weighs forever. They'll bring it to you. They'll unload it for you wherever you need it to be done, and also make sure your project is good, from whatever you buy to whatever you need to whatever you also sometimes need when it comes to reassurance and also some advice. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, Waco and Bryan, PioneerBoys.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else. Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, booney Boudin hot links and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131, 254-598-8131.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
32 seconds left. He is going for broke. Drew Pearson. He got it. Touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go, this 5 o'clock hour. And what a way to start the last hour of the day. Gene Stallings, the legendary Gene Stallings, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio with Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and I'm David Smoke. Coach, thank you so much for being a part of the show. How have you been through all of this these last 3 or 4 months? Have you been kind of most of the time at home? Have you been busy? What have you been able to do?
Well, I live on a ranch, and so that takes nearly all my time. My speaking engagements and all that I put on hold. And I do several radio shows a week, but other than that, I'm just pretty well hanging around the ranch doing the best I can.
Well, Coach, yesterday Drew Pearson finally got the call. You coached him when he was in Dallas. What does it feel like as somebody who has had to watch someone like Drew wait this long for something that's long overdue finally achieve that?
Well, it's long overdue, but at least he got there. And what a joy it was to coach against Drew Pearson. You know, in professional football, to go from a free agent to the Hall of Fame, that's the ultimate. You just can't get any better than that, and he absolutely deserves it. And when I was coaching the Cowboys, the secondary, they really enjoyed. Now the veteran enjoyed going against Drew because they got better. You talk about a guy that could run routes and catch the ball. If you could cover Drew Pearson, then the Sunday was a picnic for you. Now, the rookies, they didn't enjoy going against Drew because results were what was important to them. They didn't get very good results. But when you're a veteran player, you want to get better, and the only way you get better is go against the best. And Drew Pearson was absolutely the best. I coached several good defensive backs, Everson Walls and Benny Barnes and Mark Washington, Ron Fellows, Cliff Harris, Charlie Waters, Michael Downs, Mel Renfro, Herb Adler, and several of these guys, and they thoroughly enjoyed going against Drew, because if you could cover Drew, you could cover anybody.
As you mentioned, he came in as an undrafted free agent. When did you know, though, Coach, that he was a little bit different and this guy wasn't just some undrafted free agent?
Well, you know, there's something about recognizing somebody that has talent. We had a linebacker from Tennessee that was a free agent, and everybody said, well, he couldn't make it. And he got hurt during training camp, and he would make the cut, and end up playing 12, 13 years. So you can tell a football player. Some people have more ability than others. Some are just football players. We would refer to somebody like Drew as a pro. That's somebody that could perform under pressure. And on top of that, he was a good person. He was a fun guy to be around, and I'm just thrilled to death that he's going into the Hall.
Gene, how important or how ironic is it that next year, hopefully, when they have this massive class that they're going to induct, and Drew Pearson now and Tom Flores will be a part of it as well, that two guys that waited as long as they did in Cliff Harris and Drew Pearson will now go in together?
Just I'm going to be there if I possibly can, because I had the privilege of coaching Cliff Harris and then working against Drew Pearson. And I just think the world of both of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, if there is such thing as a Hall of Fame, because they were as good as you get at their position.
Gene, there is a lot of just massive craziness going on in college football right now. And as someone who has seen things at every level, whether an athletic director, a coach, a regent, how do you feel about how the conferences are handling this individually?
I think they're handling it about as well as they can, and the coach at Clemson, Dabo, he played for me, and I was visiting with him before the season started, and I said, Dabo, I'm not going to be meddling with your business, but if I were coaching today, I would tell the player, look, you do not have to play. You can stay on scholarship. You don't have to play. You only play because you want to. If you're concerned about the virus, just don't play. You stay on scholarship. And he said, Coach, I'm ahead of you. I've already told my squad that, and I say, well, the NCAA eventually make that a rule, and I think that's a good rule. If someone they just don't feel comfortable playing under those conditions, then just don't play. I would not let him live with the football players because he wouldn't be a football player, but he's entitled to a scholarship, and hopefully we won't have many of those that refuse to play.
Coach, there's obviously a lot of debate on whether or not, college football should proceed or not, and that's, just depends on who you ask on that front. And as you laid out, it's pretty simple. If some players don't want to play, they don't play. But just in terms of trying to play a college football season, can you kind of explain the importance of that, not only for the players themselves, but university-wide, and why so many schools are trying to make this happen?
Well, I think same thing's true about going to school. Some people say, well, I'm not going to send my child to school. Well, don't send them to school. Homeschool them if you want to. That's your choice. But if you want to go to school, we ought to have school, just like the teacher said. Well, they're concerned about being around policemen around people all the time. You just so happen you chose to be a school teacher, and that doesn't mean just on good days. But if you're going to be a school teacher, be a school teacher. And if for some reason you don't want to, well, then resign. We'll get somebody that will teach school. So I feel the same way about the problem is going to be who's going to go to the games. You take yourself. You can either go over and watch Baylor play, or you can stay home and watch it on television. Television is going to get lots of fans because people are concerned about, and we built it up. Lots of people get the flu and everything else, but the virus is a real deal. But if people will just sort of try to do what they're supposed to do, they wear the mask, they they don't get around people in groups, I think eventually it will die out. But they can't keep doing what they want to do and expect it to go away.
Coach, it's not so much what I'm asking this question because of COVID, because it is a dangerous thing, and a lot of people have died or have been sick from it. But do you think overall in America today we have become soft?
Yeah, sure I do. Soft and gimme.
Yep.
I mean, we want something for nothing. There was a time when people worked hard and they took care of the families and they took care of the parents when they got a little older. Now we won't put them in nursing homes. And yeah, I think the country as a whole, back during the war, I think we had some toughness about us. Now it's all gimme, and what can happen for me. But there again, that's a personal opinion. But
yeah.
If you're going to ask me my opinion, that's it.
Well, I wanted to hear it, and I a lot of people I know, I do, I agree myself. We had George Teague on the show, what was it, guys, about a month ago?
Yeah.
And he was phenomenal, and that doesn't surprise you whatsoever. And
George,
yeah,
he was a great player. I love old George Teague. He's doing a good job coaching, too.
Yeah, and just your thoughts about guys like him. Not that they didn't have other things they did well, but the big moment players, like Drew Pearson, obviously, we mentioned him, but guys that have that ability to make things happen in big moments, what do you think separates them from being able to do that?
Well, first of all, they've just got a knack. You take a good defensive back, he has a knack where the ball's going to go. You win football games with football players making plays, not schemes. People talk about they got a great scheme, what they're doing, the schemes this, schemes that. Hey, you win games with players. You can't be the village idiot and just have one play, but you win football games with football players making plays. And as they say, the cream will rise to the top after you've been around the player for a while. You know who the ones that's going to make the plays, and if you can't make a play that makes a difference, you're not making a contribution to your team.
When you are, I know that I've heard Coach Sweeney talk about how he calls you quite a bit, and you guys still have a great relationship. What's it like watching players you coached coach in high stakes situations like that for you? How emotional do you get watching that stuff?
Well, I'll answer it this way. The real joy that I got out of coaching, real joy, was watching that player graduate and watch that player be successful in whatever field that he chose. And obviously, just like the one coaching in Tennessee, he played for me also, and Dabo played for me, and George played for me. And to see those guys perform and enjoy what they're doing, and you don't have to always win the games. I'm telling you, people that win the games mostly have the better players. You can be the best coach team here, and you still can lose 7-8 games if you don't have players. You take Alabama, for example. Alabama has not been an underdog in any game they played in 12 or 13 years. You'd think eventually somebody would have better players than they did. But they've done a great job recruiting. They do a great job coaching. And that's where you win games.
Dylan, is Dylan's mic's hot?
Yeah, here he goes.
Dylan, you want to say something to Coach Tolley? You know.
Hey, Coach, me and your granddaughter, Laura Lee, are pretty good friends. I went to Midway with her, and we lived down the street from each other, and we've grown up together, so I just wanted to let you know that.
I appreciate that, Laura Lee. She's a mess, isn't she?
Well, Laura Lee went, what?
She's got a job there in College Station feeding horses. She's going to be doing something all the time. So I'm very proud of all my grandchildren. And Laura Lee, she's a real joy.
You are a part of all sorts of different, committees and boards, and you mentioned the different shows. You don't slow down, do you? You have not, by any means, had any let up on the accelerator.
No, I was on the track up most of the day, and as soon as I get through with this show, I'm going to finish mowing. I've got a lot to do as far as mowing where I live, but one or two things will happen to you when you get a little older. You'll either wear out or you'll rust out. I'm not going to rust out. I'm going to wear out.
Oh, my gosh. I love that.
I'm going to get T-shirts made with that on.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Coach, when you see someone you coach or another person that you that coach with you, your networking is like a massive spider web. How proud are you of that you have had so many that had an influence under you that have gone on to have success?
I'm just extremely proud. In fact, a couple of guys that played for me, they live in Nashville. They drove down and visited with me out to ranch yesterday. It's just a joy to spend some time with the player and reminisce and talk about what happened when they were playing for me and so forth and so on. And I've got a grandson playing for Clemson. And so obviously when Clemson plays, I'm trying to keep my eye on number 25. He's a tight end, and he's a good player, played there in Waco, and so not Waco, but Argyle. And to see him play and perform, and he didn't have to play well. All I ask him to do is play as well as he's capable of playing. Just don't fiddle.
We had this on the premium board. Gene Stallings, our guest on Sikkim 365 Radio. Were you, when Grant Taft decided to stop coaching at Baylor, were you contacted at all by Baylor?
Yes, I was. And when I retired, and I wasn't really ready to quit coaching. In order for it to be successful in college football, the president, the athletic director, and the head coach have all got to be on the same page. Well, the president that hired me at Alabama, the athletic director that hired me at Alabama, weren't there any longer. And so we weren't all on the same page. And it's a tough enough job when everybody's on the same page. And we'd won 70 games in 7 years. And I just wasn't going to coach under those conditions any longer. That's the reason I retired. Gave me a little bit more time to spend with Johnny. It was absolute joy in my life.
Yes, sir.
And so I have no regrets when I go back and think of what people make. Now, I never coached for the money. I never knew what I made at any job until I got my first check. I said, well, look at what I'm making. It was a job I was interested in. And now people go from place to place for the money. And that sort of turns me off, really. It's got to be something more important than just money.
You mentioned John Mark, and the impact he had on what seemed like almost millions of people because of his story. When that day came, when he passed away, were you blown away by how much of an impact he may have had on so many people around America?
Let me tell you this about Johnny. He was sick. I was in bed with him, and he was having a hard time breathing. And I said, Johnny, how do you feel? And I checked his oxygen saturation. Everybody's in the 90s. Your oxygen saturation getting the 80s, you're ready for ICU. Johnny's was 60-something. I said, Johnny, how do you feel? He said, I'm fine. Passed away the next day. He had every opportunity in the world to complain just a little bit, but he didn't. There's several Johnny stories that I love to tell. One of them, he had a friend named Bradley Block, and Bradley was visiting Johnny, and I'd already retired, and I had Bradley and Johnny, and I said, okay, guys, who is your all-time favorite Alabama football coach? Both of them said Nick Saban. I said, Johnny, he hadn't even won a game, and your poor old daddy coached there for a while. He said, you're not there now.
Oh, my God. I absolutely love that. Could the Junction Boys even be allowed to happen in today's America?
No. Lord have mercy. You won't even let you talk about it. One cute thing that happened at the Junction is this was a Saturday night. We were all beat down to nothing, and we only had about 35 players left, and we worked in the morning, worked in the afternoon, meetings and practice, and couldn't keep our eyes open. Coach Brown walked in the meeting room with the players, and he said, "Tomorrow's Sunday. How many of you guys like to go to church?" Boy, we all threw our hands up. He sent the manager around, write her name down. Charles, I said, "Charles, get me." He said, "Big, I get you." I said, "I go to church. I go to church." Coach Brown looked at the list. He said, "Isn't this nice? Everybody want to go to church? We're going to go right after we practice."
God, I love having you on. We all do. There was one other question they asked me about whether or not, how many times have you eaten at Crawford's Hole in the Wall for lunch?
That's several times. Yeah. Did you say the hole in the wall?
Yeah, yes, sir. The Crawford's Hole in the Wall for lunch. How many times? This Baylor Clower.
Bunch of times. Crawford's a good friend of mine. His daddy was a good friend of mine. It's just about as good a place you can find in Paris to go and get a hamburger or something like that. So I'm very fond of the hole in the wall.
There have been amazing names that have come out of Paris, Texas, and we're talking to one of them right now. Gene, thank you for helping us help our show, and also, interrupting your day. You got a lot to do. Enjoy, stay safe, and thank you so much for being a part of the show.
There was a trivia question. What two guys were from the same hometown that played coach football with Raymond Berry now? We're both from Paris, Texas. Both of us head coaches in the NFL.
No question. The great Raymond Berry and the great Gene Stallings. Coach, thanks for your time.
Have a good day, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to be on your show.
Oh, my God, that's a pleasure. Thank you. Oh.
That's always, I think I've interviewed him 3 or 4 times in my radio career, and I'm always like, when you sent that today, I was so excited. I just like hearing his voice.
Yeah.
Got a great voice.
He sounds the way he did 30 years ago. You really did. Dylan, you had a chance to kind of throw something in there with him, huh?
Hey, your friend's a mess, apparently, according to her grandfather.
She is a handful.
Yeah.
Hey, what did he say? You're a mess.
Yeah. I think he just dialed me back.
Okay. We
he had so much fun, he wants to come back home.
I know.
Oh. Man, I tell you what, that was awesome. We appreciate that. Couple of guys. Leon goes, love Coach Stallings. That was great telling the people we're lazy. I don't let grass grow under my feet. Carl, awesome question about America's being softy. Is it wrong? And then, of course, some others that have chimed in today, and we appreciate your feedback. 5:22 when we come back, more on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, the people you can count on right now. The summer savings event continues on at Richard Carr. That means you can save thousands on a variety of different models. If you're looking for the ultimate luxury, style, and power in a new SUV, we'll experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. And they've also got the XT5s or the even roomier 7-passenger Cadillac XT6s as well that you can check out when you go see them in person with their safety-focused staff, which I'll tell you about more in just a second. Plus, there's more deals when you head on over to Richard, one of the best-selling SUVs in 2020. It's an uncompromising full-size SUV, right? You can say $7,200 on a 2020 Buick Enclave, and also save the Buick Visions and 2020 Buick Encores. Elsewhere, how about saving over 2020 Acadias? How about saving $7,000 on 2020 Yukons? How about saving $7,000 on 2020 GMC Terrains? And if you're looking for a truck, how about saving $8,000 on 2020 GMC SLT Crew Cabs? These are just some of the deals available right now during the summer savings event going on at Richard Carr. And when you purchase a vehicle from Richard Carr, it doesn't just end there. You don't just get the great prices. You also get free oil changes with a new purchase, plus in-town priority warranty service. Richard Carr's are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business, so stop by, see them in person. They disinfect their showroom daily, and their staff is safety focused. Or if you're still a little bit hesitant to do so, well, they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety are Carr's first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com. That's KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 8-dealer crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT, or visit them at Texas Trial Lawyer Principal Office located in Houston, Texas.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every Monday. I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christian London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with the whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be, with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high-performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
This is Paul Catalina's College Football Focus.
Hubbard having a good one here. Trying to go off to the races. From Canada and beyond.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina, the Big 12 Tour continues. Frank Bonner of the Tulsa World on Twitter at Frank Bonner at Frank_Bonner 2. I got a little ahead of myself there, Frank. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of the X's and O's, Mike Gundy had himself an interesting offseason with the OAN t-shirt and how he initially handled that. And in the short term, it looks like he solved the problem for now. My question is long term, when people start looking into, here's a guy who's wearing an OAN t-shirt, he's on record as saying, I love this network, it's great, and then saying later, I didn't know they didn't like Black Lives Matter, is to me like saying, I love Maury Povich, and then going, oh, I didn't know he did paternity